Welcome back to Zangeki no Reginleiv, and we are going to continue playing with Frey. I swear we will get back to Freya's missions, but we're going to stick with Frey, and we're going to stick with Ran, as well as a couple other familiar faces who are just meeting up with us.
退屈な毎日、こんな形で終わるなんて。最終戦争か、なんて恐ろしい。でもあの方がいる。レイ様が私たちを導いてくださるはず。
石の砦ってのは居心地のいいもんじゃないな。変な匂いがするぞ。
それに食い物もダメだな。米だの麦だの食えたもんじゃない。北が恋しいな。お、ラーンと言ったな。マシな食い物はないか。例えば鹿の肉だ、ウサギでもいい。
勝手なこと言わないで。砦に入れてもらえただけでも感謝しなさい。
南は女も切れやすい。
石の中に住むとそうなる。息が詰まるからな。
この野蛮人ども、この砦はね、あんたたちのオンボロ砦よりずっと頑丈よ。あ、フレイ様。
どうした？
いえ、何でもありません。
この砦では巨人族を防ぐのは難しい。
そうですよね。こんな砦じゃ無理ですよね。
だができるだけ長く持ちこたえねばならない。
なぜだ？
ブルグン島グンターが軍勢を集めている。決戦の準備が整うまで我々が敵を食い止めるのだ。
敵が来たようだな。
持ちこたえればいいんだな。
私も戦います。フレイ様と一緒に。
So, they don't exactly like each other, but they're going to cooperate because, well, if they don't, they're all gonna die. So, it's going to be Frey, as well as several of the characters we've met to this point. You can see Velen, Ran, there's Helgi, even though he wasn't in the cutscene at all, Sigmund, and this is not the ideal weapon loadout for this mission, because we're getting these rhino guys again. Now, the bow isn't so bad for this. We're at Blazing Bow level 2, so you can still do a decent amount of damage to a decent amount of units with how big the explosion is on impact for this thing. And as you're seeing right there, I just took out some of the limbs for that one with a single bow shot. However, the thing that really makes this a little more difficult for me is that I brought a hammer to this fight. And when you're dealing with enemies like these, that are constantly running around you, this becomes a little more difficult. However, because the hammer is so strong, even with the horizontal strikes, which usually aren't as strong, you can land one hit in just the right place and take off at least one of the legs for these mounted guys. And once they're down, you can just mercilessly wail on them with the hammer on the downward strikes. And this is a golden opportunity to just take off all 4 of the limbs while they're down and build up your water crystal count. You can also get a couple other kinds of crystals from this, but the water ones are the ones you'll get the most. Like, I think that was either an earth crystal? I'm pretty sure they don't drop wind crystals. But if you're really good with the hammer, and you can just keep everything in front of you and kind of adjust to how they'll try and circle around you, just by moving off to the side a little bit, they'll eventually do that attack where they try to rear back and stomp on you. And that attack lasts just long enough that you can get off a hammer strike of pretty much any kind. And like I said before, one attack is enough to effectively immobilize these things. Then you can just go for the head, you can go for the other limbs, you can go for the rider. And this isn't a particularly long mission, it's just, if you don't have a good weapon set for it, it can be a little more time consuming. Like, they expect you to go into this with an effective bow and either like a spear or a decent short sword. You know, something that can quickly land hits on things and then get out of the way as the other rhinos charge in and try to land shots on you. There's not really a whole lot else to say about this mission. If you want to farm water crystals, it's a good place to do it. Ideally for this mission, you would be not down in the valley like this. I am basically playing this mission entirely wrong from how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be up on the ridge. That way you can't have these guys circling you as easily and hitting you from multiple angles. Although if you're down here, when they start to circle around you, they'll go toward that wooded area, and there's a cliff just beyond the trees, and they can end up slamming into that, and if they hit it at a certain angle, they're effectively standing still for a while. Actually, let's see if... okay, he's not going to do it. If I get close enough to the tree line, usually I can bait one of them into just running into the wall for a while. Okay, that one didn't... that one is just giving up. Oh, it's hobbled. I was wondering why it was moving so slow. I forgot that they can technically still move around on 3 legs, albeit slowly. And that's really all there is to this. This is a lot more straightforward than I'd expect for a mission at this point in the game. There's basically just one unit you're fighting the entire time. Whereas usually, like, even if you're just facing like the walking giants the entire time, it mixes up the sizes of them so that you can't just like use the same approach for the entire mission. Never mind that though. So we should have gotten a decent amount of water. Yeah, that's more than enough water crystals. For now, at least. You can never actually have too many. Anyway. Anywho, let's make some weapons. And we're going to be playing as Frey. No, not Frey. Freya in the next video. We're finally going back to that end of the map. So let's make a couple of weapons for her. And this will be the Freezing Scepter. So that's one. I'd like to make another. You know, this should work. This is a bow that has homing capabilities, but it also fire, so let's just call it the Heat Seeker's Bow. See what I did there? That's the kind of humor you can usually expect from my videos. And we may have just enough to get a sword, complete the ensemble, and we do. This is the Life Leech Sword. I'll leave it to your imagination what this sword does. I'm just kidding, you already know what this sword does. Because despite the name, it's actually just the level 2 version of the short sword that Freya already had. Okay, not short sword, just shorter than the great sword that she has. So really a normal sword. Anyway, yeah, this looks pretty standard. And let's go ahead and get that Freezing Scepter on her as well. I hope I'm not talking up some of these weapons too much before we see them in action. Because sometimes I worry that I build them up too much and then they just come off as underwhelming. I mean, it's the level 1 versions of the weapons still, so they're not going to be that powerful. Except for the ones that explode. And even then, they usually end up literally blowing up in my face. Anyway, let's get the Heat Seeker Bow on. And that should set us up for the next part of Zangeki no Reginleiv. Next time, things are going to get dark.